The movie begins with a view of a desolate planet, barren, devoid of resources, and offering little to exploit. Humanity has done what it does best, destroyed everything in its path. Now, the planet is nothing more than a wasteland, and humans have relocated to a nearby exoplanet called K-206. For 2 generations, humanity has been safe. But curiosity grows, leading to a mission back to Earth to see if it has become habitable again. The mission fails. No one returns, proving their hopes were in vain. Another 20 years pass in the blink of an eye. Now, the Ulysses 2 mission is launched, promising to uncover whether humanity can return. The spacecraft reaches Earth, but crashes into the ocean. A few survivors make it out, but the situation is dire. When one of them, Blake, regains consciousness, they find themselves alone on a beach.
Their crewmates are dead.
In the distance, they spot what's left of the ship and rush toward it. Inside, they find their specialist, T, trapped. T reveals that the air is no longer toxic, but a massive tide will return in 6 hours. That's all the time they have to gather evidence and send it back to K-206. T's injured leg makes him unable to move, so Blake must explore the area, collecting as many samples as possible: water, soil, and wreckage from the ship. Meanwhile, T analyzes the climate and planetary movements. He quickly realizes that a storm is approaching and warns Blake to return. Blake runs back, but within seconds, a thick fog rolls in, covering everything. Suddenly, through the radio, they hear T being attacked by something. Moments later, a flare lights up the sky. T managed to fire it, revealing Blake's path back. But when Blake arrives, the ship is gone. In its place is a massive crater, with deep drag marks leading away. Blake follows the tracks and soon encounters the attackers, humanoid figures, moving in large numbers. Using their rifle scope, Blake tries to get a closer look, but before they can react, they are surrounded, knocked out, and thrown into a sewer. Inside, they find T, barely clinging to life. He's lost too much blood, and his condition worsens by the second. Desperate, Blake shouts to their captors for medicine. Suddenly, a rope drops. Blake climbs out, but instead of freedom, the survivors force her to treat one of their own. Once she does, they throw her back into the pit. T, growing weaker, reveals one last piece of information. Before being captured, he saw the ship's communicator. If Blake can reach it, she can contact K-206 and call for help. Moments later, he succumbs to his wounds and dies before Blake can say goodbye. Before Blake can process the loss, water begins flooding the pit. Drowning seems inevitable until someone appears and pulls her out. She now sees how these survivors live. They've built their homes on boats, staying above the rising tides that constantly flood the planet. As soon as the tide recedes, Blake returns to the pit. Thirsty, she begs the children for water, but they mock her and throw salt water instead. However, one girl, Mila, watches her closely, showing more curiosity than the others. Blake tells Mila that humanity once lived here, but left when the planet became sick. However, they left behind beacons, signals meant to call for help. If Mila helps her find one, Blake will show her where she came from. Suddenly, Mila runs off, and screams fill the air. Before Blake can react, a group of girls enters the pit, carrying a baby. Blake uses the rope to climb up but struggles to get out due to the debris blocking the door. Through a gap, she sees the camp under attack by another group of survivors. Many die quickly, and by the time Blake escapes, she is the only adult left with the girls. One of them is Tana, Mila's mother, but she doesn't trust Blake and refuses to share any information. Suddenly, they hear screams and rush to help. The attackers are loading women onto a massive boat. Only women. The men are slaughtered without mercy. From a distance, they see Mila being taken. Blake wants to rescue her, but Tana refuses to trust her. When Blake tries to intervene, Tana stops her, leaving Blake with no choice. She knocks Tana out, sneaks onto the boat from the side, and hides. After a few hours at sea, the boat reaches an enormous aircraft carrier. Blake disguises herself and slips inside, but when a guard finds an alien rifle, he orders a full search. Blake is quickly discovered. Her speech and behavior give her away, and she is taken to the captain. The captain introduces himself as Gibson and surprisingly welcomes her. He was part of the Ulysses I mission and knew her father. Blake tells him about the communicator, and Gibson reveals they already have it. She explains that if they connect it to a beacon, they can contact K-206 and request a rescue. Unfortunately, the survivors don't trust people from the sky. Gibson has tried to build a functioning society, but many rebels still behave like savages. They destroyed the technology brought by Ulysses I, including the beacons, and he isn't sure if any remain. The tides make long searches difficult, and they lack energy. However, they do have turbines, though no one knows how to install them. Fortunately, Blake does. After settling in and taking a shower, Blake explores the aircraft carrier. She finds Gibson teaching children and spots Mila, relieved to see she's safe. She also meets a boy who shows her a plant, the first sign of vegetation she's seen on the planet. He tells her it was a gift from someone named Chris. When Blake asks where Chris lives, the boy refuses to say, only pointing downward. Following the hint, Blake ventures below deck into the boilers. There, inside a locked cell, she finds her father. Before she can react, Gibson appears and asks her to listen. Blake demands her father's release, but Gibson insists she stay quiet and hear the truth. He tells her that her father is a traitor to K-206. He fell in love with a savage and destroyed the communication beacons, ensuring that humanity on K-206 remains unaware that Earth is safe again. Blake unlocks the cell, and after reuniting with her father, Chris finally explains himself. He believes humanity no longer deserves Earth. The planet deserves a new beginning. If humans return, they will only repeat history and destroy it once again. That night at dinner, while Gibson explains everything he's done to keep the settlement afloat, the lights suddenly go out. A guard informs him that someone stole the intercom from the storeroom and attacked 2 guards. Blake immediately suspects her father and starts looking for him. Soon after, someone ambushes her, holding a knife to her throat. It's Tana. She's come for her daughter. Blake assures her that Mila is safe and takes her to the dorms, where Tana sees her daughter. Lowering her guard for a moment, she gives Blake the chance to subdue her. Before being taken away, Tana warns Blake that she's being deceived. She still doesn't understand what's really happening. She also reveals something chilling. Gibson's men are only rescuing women. Later, Louisa, Gibson's wife, tends to the cut on Blake's neck. When Blake asks why they only take women, Louisa hesitates, too scared to answer. It's clear that Gibson keeps his crew in line through fear. When Blake keeps pressing, Gibson finally reveals a shocking truth about K-206. The planet is contaminated with a type of radiation that destroys female fertility. That's why K-206 is full of older women who can no longer reproduce. What he's doing may seem terrible, but in his eyes, it's necessary. He claims he is creating a protected society where he can spread his seed and father hundreds of children to repopulate Earth. Blake is disgusted and accuses him of being a monster. But then Gibson asks if she has bled at all since arriving. Blake stays silent. Gibson smirks, realizing the implications. Earth's environment may have reversed the infertility. K-206 is a graveyard for humanity's last generation. With birth rates likely dwindling to nothing, the end is inevitable. He insists that humanity's future depends on what he's building. While he supports informing K-206 that Earth is habitable again, he has no intention of letting just anyone return, only those he deems worthy of rebuilding civilization. Now that Blake knows the truth, he wants her to be part of his plan. Since he already has a wife, she will be given to Paling, his right-hand man. Paling takes Blake to his cabin, intending to force himself on her. But before he can, a noise distracts him. He grabs his weapon and goes to investigate. Seizing the opportunity, Blake slips him one of the cyanide capsules they carry in case of capture. She kisses him, passing it into his mouth. Believing she's changed her mind, he lets down his guard, only to drop dead moments later. Blake then finds Mila hidden in his closet. Gibson's men had tried to take her to the so-called fertility zone to begin the process, but she escaped. Realizing she can't allow this horror to continue, Blake runs to free the other girls. She won't let them become part of Gibson's twisted plan. She also rescues her father, who tells her he just saw Gibson outside. She needs to stop him before he does something even worse. She frees all the prisoners, including the laborers Gibson was using to repair the turbines. Technology she naively helped him install. Arming herself with a rifle from the storeroom, she goes after Gibson. That's when she discovers his final betrayal. He lied about the beacons. He does have a working one, but he plans to use it to send K-206 the wrong coordinates, ensuring their ships suffer the same fate as Blake's. That way, he can control who survives and remain Earth's ruler. Blake takes aim at him, but Gibson grabs his own child, using them as a shield. Louisa tries to stop him, but he kills her without hesitation. Blake has no choice but to lower her weapon. Before Gibson can gloat, she lunges at him, and they both fall into the water. As they sink, Blake grabs Gibson by the neck and strangles him. But she's too weak to swim back up. Just as she starts to lose consciousness, Tana dives in and pulls her out. When Blake finally stands again, she realizes it's too late. Gibson already sent the message. Humanity will return to Earth. The question is, can they find balance and share the planet with the survivors who remain? That's something they'll have to figure out. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.